Oh my goodness, guys, I just filmed this entire video and then for some reason the video cut out, and so I'm very upset. And so I'm going to try and be as concise as possible, and hopefully I will be after all that. So I'm going to be sharing a concept, and then I'm going to be sharing how I think that connects to FJs. But disclaimer is that not everyone who is an FJ is going to relate to this. It's just clustered associations. It's not a definition. And people who are not FJs might also relate to this. But I do think it is very much highly correlated with extroverted feeling as a function. So pretty much I was watching the Mr. Rogers documentary, where it sort of talks about the life of Mr. Rogers and what inspired him to create, the show. And something that really struck me when watching this, that made me very upset and sad and angry, is that I felt like a lot of people were treating Mr. Rogers as a fool and as naive and as silly just for being nice. And I don't feel like everyone saw the philosophy behind what he was doing. I don't know if they saw the intention behind what he was doing, and I don't know if they realized how much everything he was doing made sense. I think that people tend to view people like that as not connected to the world or delusional or haven't felt real pain or anything like that. Like, oh, you're so naive for being nice, you must not really know how harsh the world is. Well, there are two types of people in this world. There are people that the world is harsh to them, and so they are harsh back to the world. Or there are people who the world is harsh to them, and so they choose to not be harsh back. So I think it's very silly and not, and like off base to judge someone for being naive or incompetent just because they chose to be nice. And so after watching this documentary, I very much believe that Mr. Rogers is an ISFJ because he is trying to build a foundation, a sensory foundation, sort of right at the start. He goes to youth, and that is the very foundation of everyone's sensory experience. So I know that a lot of people have typed Mr. Rogers online as an INFP, but I think if you watch the documentary and kind of see his philosophy behind why he's doing that, you'll see why I believe he's an ISFJ, because I think he can sort of have this sort of INFP character, and I mean, I think he uses a lot of NE and even FI in the show for creative purposes, like demonstrative FI and inferior NE. But I think, he's just, how intentional he is with everything and how much everything he's doing fits under this philosophy just seems very FJ to me. And so anyway, after I was watching it, I was very upset because I felt like people made fun of him. They didn't get him. And I felt like he was misunderstood. And I really was relating to that because I feel very misunderstood. And I feel like people don't really see the logic behind why I do what I do. And I've been called naive. I've been accused of not having felt real pain and being spoiled and stuff like that, just because I choose to be optimistic and happy and stuff like that, and I choose to spread the love. I don't want my negative emotions to ever impact other people. And so if I ever am experiencing negative emotions, I either won't ask on one end, I might be too prideful to ask for help, but also I don't want to bleed those negative emotions out onto the collective, because I know how damaging that could be. So I was talking to my dad about this, who's an ENFJ, and I also was talking to my ESFJ sister and my ESFJ mom, and my dad was saying to me, something that you have to realize about the world is that Lincoln was shot, JFK was shot, Martin Luther King was shot, and Jesus was crucified. That's just how it is. People just being good people and preaching love, that causes backlash, and that's just how it is. And something I was thinking about this is that if you choose to be love and preach love, you are pretty much guaranteeing that you are going to find love and find people to love you and to follow you, but you also are guaranteeing backlash. And that's just how it goes. You can't have one without the other. And I think people need to realize, and as my dad was explaining this to me, that loving is a risk. I don't know of a single person in this world who has ever just decided to be love and preach love that has not received backlash. There's always the risk of being crucified. There's always the risk of being shot. And so if we start to look at people like Mr. Rogers, for example, who are principled and decided to be nice and be good and spread good, if we started to view them as brave instead of naive, I think that would be a lot more accurate. And it just breaks my heart to think that people see that as naive, because I don't think people, sorry, I'm fired up, and this is also the second time I've said this, and so, and I'm also afraid of my video cutting out again, but it's brave because it's a risk. It's a risk that people are taking to share that truth and to decide to be love anyway, despite how negative the world is. It's not because people are detached from how negative the world is. They decide to spread love, to transform it, and to be a part of the solution. I've noticed that a lot of TPs really like to solve problems, but for me, I don't want to solve the problem, nor do I think I can solve the problem on my own. I would rather just be a part of the solution. I don't focus as much on the problem because to me it seems simple. The world sucks. There's lots of fear and hate. How about I just be love, and so I at least know that I'm part of the solution. Of course, that counts on everybody to be that way. But if somebody decides to bravely do that, then they are going to, inspire more people to join them and stuff like that. And it causes a ripple effect. So that, I guess, to sort of switch gears to how I'm connecting this to FJs, is I think that a lot of FJs relate to the feeling of sort of having a total philosophy behind why you are being consistently nice or whatever. A lot of FJs are sort of seen as naive, as, oh, you're just nice, or, oh, you whatever, don't really know what's going on. I think we're seen as slow and stupid and stuff like that. I totally get why people would think that, but we're focused on other things. We aren't focused on, being the smartest person in the room. We're focused on solving the problem in another way. And FJs are not going to be nice and loving because we feel like being nice and loving. We're going to be very aware of how bad the world is because we feel it. As an FJ, we are aware, out of probably any other personality type, we are aware of the hate and how it hurts people because we are extremely sensitive to it. FJs will feel the sensitivity and then decide to be love anyway because that's the only way to solve the problem. We don't need to, every single thing we do is backed by this TI principle. We aren't emotional we aren't super fluctuating in what our emotions are going to be. We decide a principle of how we want to embody ourselves, and we act on that every single day. And for those FJs who do choose to be love, we are being love every single day of the week, and that's just how it is. And it's very principled, and it's a risk in doing so because not everyone's going to understand that. So it can make us feel very misunderstood. Yeah, I guess really that's the video. Loving is a risk. So if you are someone out there who is deciding to be brave and be love every day of the week, and not just when you feel like it, know that you're brave, and that's a risk. No matter what personality type you are, everyone is capable of doing this. Everybody is capable of doing this, and not all FJs are going to just be able to say that they do this just because you're an FJ. But I do think there's a very strong correlation there because functionally that is how FE and TI works together. It's focused on the solution. We want to be a part of the solution. We don't want to solve the problem necessarily. That's very TI. That can be hard for us. We want to rely on each other to do their part and just do what we can to solve the problem. And it can seem sort of shallow or cheap or easy, and that's because every extroverted judging function sort of is a shortcut in that way. But it's also something that we just sort of look out and see as self-evident and find it obvious. You know, if I see that there's love and hate in the world, and hate is bad and love is good, then I'm gonna just be love. Simple, period. End of the day, that is what an FJ is focused on. And it does not get more complicated than that. But it is important to know that the actual landscape of society right now makes it very, very hard to do. And so that is a risk to do. It's not naive, it's brave. So thank you so much for watching this video. All of my links are below if you want to work with me one-on-one. Please ask any questions, and I will try and get to them, especially since I know I was sort of rushing through this video. And yeah, if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, and also join my Facebook group, Personality Typology for Self-Growth, and have a wonderful rest of your day.